When I was a little girl, my grandparents' house always fascinated me. It was a big old Victorian home, standing quietly at the edge of a small town in Maine. The kind of house that looked like it had stories, hiding behind every creaky door, every fading wallpaper, and every shadow that danced in the hallway at night. My grandfather used to tell me that the house had character. My grandmother used to say it had secrets, but she always smiled when she said that I never really understood what she meant until the summer I turned 22, when everything changed. That summer, my grandparents passed away within months of each other. I was heartbroken. I had spent nearly every summer there, growing up running through its hallways, listening to the sound of the waves crashing nearby, and watching my grandmother bake pies in the old kitchen. I thought I knew every inch of that house, but after their passing, I realized there was one room I had never seen, the small one at the end of the upstairs hallway, the one with the heavy wooden door that was always locked. I remember asking my grandmother about it when I was younger. She would just say that it was her sewing room and that there was nothing inside worth seeing. But her tone always sounded like there was more to it, like she was protecting something. When the lawyer gave me the keys to the house after their funeral, he handed me one key separately, an old brass one with the words Room 7 engraved on it. He said, "Your grandmother wanted you to have this. She said you would know when to use it." I didn't know what it meant, but something inside me felt a chill. I knew exactly which door it belonged to. Weeks passed before I got the courage to go back to the house alone. Everything inside felt frozen in time, her favorite chair still near the fireplace, the scent of her lavender perfume faintly in the air. Even the clock in the living room had stopped at the exact moment she passed. I could almost feel their presence there, but what pulled my attention most was that locked door upstairs, the one I had never opened. It was a rainy evening when I finally decided to do it. Thunder rolled outside and the wind shook the windows. I went upstairs with a flashlight in one hand and the brass key in the other. The hallway felt longer than ever. Shadows stretched across the walls like reaching hands. When I reached the door, my heart was racing. I put the key in and turned it slowly. The lock clicked and the door opened with a low creak. The air inside was cold and smelled faintly of dust and something sweet like old flowers. I shone my flashlight around the room. It wasn't a sewing room at all. The first thing I saw was a small wooden rocking chair in the center, and on it sat a doll, an old porcelain doll with faded blue eyes and a cracked cheek. Its face was turned toward the window. The walls were lined with shelves filled with photo albums, old letters, and boxes neatly labeled with dates: 1953, 1955, 1961. I took one box down and opened it. Inside were tiny baby shoes, a silver bracelet, and a photograph of a little girl with short hair smiling in front of the same house I was standing in. But the strange thing was, I had never seen this girl before in any family pictures. She wasn't my mother or my aunt or anyone I knew. I flipped the photo over, and there in my grandmother's handwriting it said, "My sweet Emily, forever in my heart." I froze. I had never heard of an Emily in my family. I searched through the other boxes and found more pictures of the same girl as she grew older. Maybe up to 6 years old, then nothing after that. Not one photo from after 1961. I started feeling cold from the inside out. Something about this felt wrong. I needed answers. I went down to the basement where my grandfather kept all his old files and found a trunk filled with papers, hospital forms, newspaper clippings, and at the very bottom, a thin envelope with my grandmother's name written in shaky handwriting inside was a letter addressed to her from a woman named Margaret Stevens. It said, "I'm sorry about Emily. I tried everything we could not save her. The fever took her too quickly. Please know she was peaceful at the end." My heart broke reading those words. I realized Emily had been their daughter, my mother's older sister, the one no one ever told me about. I ran back upstairs and sat in the rocking chair, staring at the doll. That must have been hers. I whispered her name, Emily. And for a moment, it felt like the air in the room shifted, like someone was there with me. The curtains moved slightly, even though the windows were closed. I felt a tear roll down my cheek and whispered, "I'm sorry you were forgotten." That night, I decided to stay in the house. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had to know more. I looked through my grandmother's journals in her nightstand drawer. Most of them were recipes and little notes about the garden. But then I found one with a torn leather cover inside, were entries from 1961. The last one said the doctor said she's gone. I can't accept it. I can't bury her. I need her near me. I'll keep her here until I can let go. My breath caught in my throat. What did that mean? I read it again. I'll keep her here until I can let go. The words sounded hauntingly literal. I rushed back to the locked room. I started tapping the floor with my foot, and one board sounded hollow. I knelt down and pulled it up inside. The space was a small box wrapped in old fabric. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a tiny silver locket with a picture of the same girl. Emily on one side and my grandparents on the other. I felt a chill so deep I had to step back. As I held the locket, the rocking chair began to move slowly by itself. The doll fell from it and rolled toward me. I screamed but didn't run something deep in. Me felt like she wasn't trying to scare me. She wanted to be seen, to be remembered. The air felt heavy, and for a brief moment I could hear something faint, a child's voice whispering. "Mommy," I whispered back. "Emily, I remember you. I promise I won't forget you." The rocking stopped. Everything went still. The room felt warm again, calm. I stayed there for a while, holding the locket until the rain outside faded to silence. The next morning when I woke up, I found the doll sitting neatly on the windowsill, facing the garden where my grandmother used to plant roses. I knew I hadn't placed it there somehow. I felt peace. I decided to take the locket and wear it as a way of keeping Emily close. When I called my mother that day, I told her everything. At first she was silent, then she said, "I always knew there was something our parents never told us. I found her birth certificate once, but they told me it was a mistake. They couldn't talk about her losing." Emily nearly broke them. Weeks later, I organized all the photos, letters, and toys into a small box and buried it under the rose bush in the garden where my grandmother used to hum lullabies. Every evening, I whispered, "Rest. Now, Emily, you're home." From that day, strange things began to change in the house. The air felt lighter. The clocks that had stopped began ticking again. The faint scent of lavender filled the rooms, even when there were no flowers around sometimes. When I read by the fireplace, I could swear I heard soft footsteps upstairs, like a child running playfully down the hall. I wasn't scared anymore. It felt comforting, like she was finally free. Months passed, and I decided to restore the old house, not to sell it, but to live in it. I wanted to keep it alive with memories and stories, not secrets. Every visitor who came said they felt something different there, something peaceful, like the walls themselves were sighing with relief. One evening, I was watching the sunset from the porch when I saw a little girl in the garden, her hair catching the golden light. She was wearing a white dress, and she waved at me before fading slowly into the glow. I smiled and whispered, "Good night, Emily." Since then, I've told her story to everyone who visits, because no family secret deserves to stay buried, especially one born out of love and pain. My grandparents never meant to hide her out of shame. They did it because losing her broke them so deeply they couldn't face the truth. They turned their sorrow into silence, but silence can't last forever. The truth has a way of breathing through time, through letters, through locked rooms, waiting for someone brave enough to listen, and that someone was me. Now, whenever I sit in that old rocking chair and hear the faint sound of laughter echo through the hall, I smile because I know the house is no longer full of secrets. It's full of stories and love that refuse to fade. So if you ever find a locked room or an old letter or something your family never talked about, don't be afraid to open it. You might not find ghosts. You might just find truth, love, and the missing pieces that make you who you are. Because sometimes the scariest things we keep hidden aren't meant to haunt us. They're just waiting to be healed by being remembered. And that's how the locked room in my grandparents' house, which I was never supposed to open, ended up opening something far greater inside me, the courage to face what was lost, and the peace that comes from finally knowing the truth.